Joe Dispenza's teachings and meditations made me so good at manifesting money that I transformed my monthly income from making less than $1,000 a month to making more than $20,000 a month. And since I opened his book, Becoming Supernatural, for the very first time, I completely transformed my financial situation and I manifested a net worth of more than $500,000. And that's why in today's video I reveal the 9 money-generating principles from Joe Dispenza's book, Becoming Supernatural, how common people are doing the uncommon that allowed me to become financially free, countless personal stories of how I used these principles to leave my old struggling self behind while I successfully created my new abundant self, and the step-by-step manifestation practices that I developed to manifest abundance fast and effectively with these principles. And keep in mind that each of these principles builds upon the previous one, which means that if you only miss out on one of them, this could make it so much harder for you to become supernatural at manifesting money. Now, what if I told you that I used to be somebody else? In fact, it's always amusing to me when one of my clients says the following words to me: "I wish I had met you sooner," and I always answer, "No, you don't. You really don't." And not just because of my headache-causing German accent, but because I used to be the most negative, the most self-destructive person that you can possibly imagine. I was a complete mess, and even the universe had to admit that I was a mess. He was a complete mess. It was so messy. I was constantly stressed. I was creating one problem after another for myself, and at some point my body couldn't take it anymore. At some point my body broke down, and that happened in the year 2020. In the year 2020 I had my spiritual awakening, my admittedly rough spiritual awakening. A cyst was discovered in my bladder and I had all kinds of symptoms, including an enlarged prostate, and I couldn't go to the bathroom anymore. And then this cyst was surgically removed, and after this surgery I had developed severe nerve damage, so severe that I was screaming whenever I put my boxer shorts on, and every doctor I talked to told me if it's not healed by now, it won't heal anymore. And these dark times were my initiation, and this initiation led me on a journey of reading about spirituality, about manifesting. It led me to meditating with Joe Dispenza's meditations, and eventually it led me to me joining 3 week-long advanced retreats from Dr. Joe Dispenza. And now you might be saying, "Yeah, Sebastian, what does manifesting money has to do with being stressed?" This leads us to principle number 1 that I want to share with you, because in his book, Becoming Supernatural, Dr. Joe Dispenza describes that we have to get beyond our stresses, problems, and pains to create a future in which those aspects of ourselves don't exist. And yes, I healed my body with Dr. Joe Dispenza's teachings and meditations, but during my journey of manifesting abundance, I also had to realize at some point that I had to let go of the stresses and problems and pains of my life if I ever wanted to become the abundant version of myself that I truly wanted to be. Because let's face it, a truly abundant person is not stressed. Because when you are abundant, you have so much money that you can live the calm and relaxed life you desire. A truly abundant person is not focused on problems, but on opportunities, because money solves almost all your problems. And yes, I know, it doesn't sound politically correct, but I can confidently say from my own personal experience, as somebody who used to be broke, that now that I'm abundant, I have 99% less problems. In fact, I once read on Reddit, "Money may not buy happiness, but it can make it so nothing external is affecting your ability to be happy." These are very wise words. What is this Reddit? Unless you are in pain, and back then I was in a lot of pain, because if you don't have your health, you have nothing. And if you are in constant pain, then you are separated from the abundance that you could potentially reach in your life. And here's why. Pain inevitably leads to the creation of negative emotions, such as fear, anger, and resentment. The only way to leave your pain behind is to ascend to a higher emotional level. And according to Dr. Joe Dispenza's research, stress is the #1 cause of illness. And I can tell you from my own experience that it's a lot easier to lower your cortisol level and to experience less stress in your life when you don't worry about paying your bills. It's all interconnected. And here's exactly how I got beyond my stresses, pains, and problems. Whenever I felt physical or emotional pain, I immediately closed my eyes and asked myself, how would I feel like if I was in a reality in which this problem didn't exist? And I can confidently say that Joe Dispenza's Changing Boxes meditation is absolutely perfect for that, at least in my opinion. Step number 2, I made it a habit to look at the horrible situation I was in back then through the lens of opportunity, which means that yes, I had this debilitating health issue, but I convinced myself more and more to see it as my spiritual awakening, which eventually it was, and to see it as an opportunity to grow, to see it as an opportunity to change, and to no longer live my life in constant stress. And yes, back then at the beginning of my journey, I was making less than $1,000 a month, at least most months. And yes, that was not the amount of money that I wanted to make, but I still looked at it as an opportunity to finally let go of the idea that I have to work 10 to 12 hours every day in order to become successful, which obviously wasn't working out for me. Step number 3, I completely changed my language, and here I wrote down all the words that I no longer wanted to think and say, such as poor me, victim, horrible, terrible, problem. All of that had to go. And I also wrote down all the words that I wanted to think and that I wanted to speak. Wonderful, beautiful, gratitude, abundance. And it was an eye-opener to see that my language was based in scarcity, lack, and all that negative crap that I just had to let go of in order to step into my abundant reality. Step number 4, I went on a strict mental diet because I knew that the only way for me to overcome my existing problems in my physical reality was to focus less on them and was to not let new problems into my mind. That's why I was very strict when it comes to, and I'm still very strict, when it comes to what I consume. All the murder, betrayal, and all these TV shows and movies, nope. I no longer wanted that in my life. And I then repeated throughout the day how grateful I am, even though back then, when you looked at it from a logical perspective, I didn't have a lot to be grateful for, but I was looking for things to be grateful for, even if I was just looking out of the window and there was sunshine. Every opportunity that I could get to be grateful, I took it. And that's also something that Joe Dispenza always says, with gratitude is the ultimate state of receivership. And this process of being careful what you think, how you think, and what thoughts you allow to enter your mind is described beautifully in Neville Goddard's Mental Diets. Our inner conversations are perpetually outpictured all around us in happenings. Therefore, what we desire to see and hear without, we must see and hear within. For the whole manifested world goes to show us what use we have made of the word. And this leads us to the second principle. The next principle I'm about to share with you completely transformed my life and my bank account statement, and It's something that is ignored by most people who want to manifest their dreams. Because when I heard Dr. Joe Dispenza talk about the energy in our body for the very first time, I was lying on my couch in excruciating pain, and I tried to watch his Rewired program, and I tried to pay as much attention as I could with the pain I was experiencing. And that's when Joe Dispenza then introduced blessing of the energy centers. And I thought to myself, okay, my body is so irreparably damaged that if I try the blessing of the energy centers meditation, it will probably erupt like a volcano. I'm screwed, I can't do this. But thankfully, the universe encouraged me because the universe didn't share the same fear. Don't be ridiculous, you can do this. Thankfully, I still did it. Not just because it helped me on my physical healing journey, but also for an, back then for me, inexplicable reason. It opened the floodgates of abundance to come to me. And here's how. No matter if you call them chakras or energy centers, we deplete these little mini brains when we live in the hormones of stress, when we mismanage our energy, and when we deny ourselves the energetic experience of certain emotions. And this leads us to principle number 2 that Joe Dispenza shared with us in his best-selling book, Becoming Supernatural. The only way we can change our lives is to change our energy, which means to change the electromagnetic field we are projecting. Was I mismanaging my energy? Yes, definitely. Was I living in the hormones of stress? You bet it. Was I denying myself the energetic experience of certain emotions? 100%. In fact, the emotions that are associated to abundance, such as calmness, relaxation, freedom, joy, I never felt them. The truth is that the electromagnetic field I was projecting was a shit sandwich with the ingredients worry, doubt, fear. Now, what about you? Are you feeling a rush of stress hormones flowing through your body, or are you feeling a rush of joy and gratitude? I can guarantee you that your bank account reflects your internal state. Or are you mismanaging your energy by living life exclusively from the lower energy centers, and you never tune into your heart, you never tune into your pineal gland or into your third eye, and you only live in survival? At some point on this journey, I had to realize that life was about more than eating, digesting, and shaboinking, and you have to come to the same realization, because only then can your bank account grow easily. But sometimes energy gets stuck in our chakras, and that's why in week number 4 of my 8-week Abundance Reality Shift coaching program, we're gonna unblock the energy center that is all about confidence and empowerment, so that the flow of money that you want to experience can in fact find you. And don't forget to practice feeling the emotions that you associate with wealth, with riches, with abundance. And now you might be asking, what are these emotions? Well, that's highly individual. For me, it was always freedom, gratitude, and a love for life. What is it for you? I invite you to write it in the comments below. Now, what if I told you that most of us, including me, have been programmed from the day we were born to be poor? In fact, one of the sentences that I said to myself over and over again at the beginning of my manifestation journey is the following one: if someone would have just told me. It was really painful for me to think about how much money I could have made in my 20s if someone would have told me that. We can easily feel any emotion we want that then creates the reality that is in alignment with this emotion. And because this sentence was floating in my mind so many times, I always try to remind myself of the following quote from Neville Goddard's Feeling is the Secret. Do not waste one moment in regret, for to think feelingly of the mistakes of the past is to reinfect yourself. But seriously, it wasn't easy to come to terms with the fact that for all my life I had believed that I am the victim of my external circumstances. Even the universe remembered that time. You were the biggest victim in the world. That's why I created this victim trophy for you. Do you still need it? No, I no longer need it, because nowadays I live my life in complete harmony with principle number 3 that I want to share with you right now. We have to intentionally choose to feel the elevated emotions of our heart and stop waiting for something outside of us to create these emotions. The only problem is that it goes against everything that we've been conditioned with to believe, at least a lot of us, not everybody, but I was definitely conditioned like this to believe that if the sun is shining, if things are going well, then I'm happy. If it's raining and things are not going so well, then I'm unhappy. And for the majority of my life, I was this person who, no, there it is. For the majority of my life, I was this person who was always unhappy, all day, every day. But then at some point I had to let that self go and step into a new self, and therefore a new self-concept who created positive emotions out of nothing, even though my physical reality might have not immediately reflected a logical reason for these positive emotions. And that's why I created a 3-step process that I followed and that you have to follow if you want to create your abundant dream life. And it works like this. Step number 1, emancipate yourself from the belief that you have to wait for something in your external world to give you permission to feel a certain emotion. You are the creator of your life. You are the operant power, which means you have to give yourself the permission to feel the emotions that then lead you directly to your dream life. Step number 2, ignore the people in your life who call you crazy or delusional when you feel happy, even though physically you are sick. And when you feel grateful, even though your bank account doesn't give you any reason to be grateful. Because this is the only path for you to arrive at wholeness and abundance. Step number 3, catch yourself whenever you fall back into the old paradigm that our society loves to throw at us, and when you feel overwhelmingly negative emotions in a situation where it logically makes sense. That's the moment where you have to pull yourself out of it and then climb up the emotional ladder. Does that mean that I want you to scream, "Thank you, universe," when you run into a tree? Of course not. We all react. In fact, Joe Dispenza reacts as well. He actually said it at one of the advanced retreats I went to. He said, I react all the time. It just depends on how long you react, and shortening this refractory period turns you into a powerful manifestor, because that's where the milk meets the cereal, or however that's called. Oh God. It's an intentional act to feel these elevated emotions, so do it intentionally, no matter what your physical reality reflects back to you. By you feeling these emotions over and over again, the reflection will soon change, just like Neville Goddard described it in Let Us Go Into Silence. The world is a mirror, forever reflecting what you're doing within yourself. If you know this, you are set free, and a series of events will unfold within you to reveal the story of salvation. But what if you are scared of something that so many of us fear because we don't understand that it's full of possibilities? And yes, I have to admit it, I am a control freak. I tried to control everything in my life. I was constantly worried of getting sick and losing control of my body. I was worried that I don't have enough money and losing control of my finances, and guess what happened? Not my fault, you did this to yourself. Desperately trying to control every aspect of your life equals being terrified of the unknown. Otherwise, you could simply let go. And what signals do you send out into the field when you operate from this paradigm? I don't trust that the universe delivers my manifestation. So why should the universe then deliver your manifestation? I can't let go of control. So how can you possibly receive signs and synchronicities that are the result of surrendering to the unknown? I don't have what it takes to manifest. So why would the universe give you what you desire? If you truly believed that you have the power to manifest your dreams and that the universe is your friend and working tirelessly to fulfill all your wishes, you would simply and very confidently jump into the unknown. And you would then swim in the unknown with confidence. And this leads us to principle number 4. The only way to create a possibility is to focus on the unknown and to surrender and trust in the unknown. In order to go from making less than $1,000 a month to making $5,000 a month, I had to get comfortable with the idea of letting go and of not trying to control everything. And when I then made the jump from $5,000 a month to $10,000 a month, I had to completely let go of the obsession of how the money will come to me. And then when I transformed my financial situation by going from making $10,000 a month to making $20,000 a month and more, I had to completely let go, surrender, and allow the universe to do the heavy lifting for me. The result? Countless business ideas, countless product ideas, direct downloads, signs, synchronicities that made it possible for me to easily go from 1,000 to 5,000 to 10,000 to 20,000, and let's see what the next step will be. But now you might be saying, okay, but how do I do it? How do I trust in the unknown? How do I surrender? How do I let go? Here's exactly how I did it and how you can do it as well. Step number 1, add more adventure to your life. And now you might be saying, more adventure? Sebastian, I expected you to mention meditation. And don't get me wrong, meditation is also an important part. But think about it this way. The only way for you to become completely comfortable with the unknown in the spiritual realm is if you first become more comfortable with the unknown in your physical realm, which means your physical reality. And if you always go to the same restaurants, see the same people, do the same things every day, all week long, all year long, then you are just in the known. And that's why you have to take an active step out into the unknown. That doesn't mean that you have to play real-life GTA and steal cars and do some other crazy stuff, which I not recommend. It's simply about you trying new things. Going to a meetup, meeting new people, going to a new restaurant, visiting a new city, doing something differently, because this makes you feel more comfortable in your physical reality with the unknown. And then you can also become automatically more comfortable in the spiritual realm with the unknown. And this leads us to step number 2, linger in the unknown. Take time every day to close your eyes and to go within and to just linger in this feeling of nothing, of just being, of being in the present moment, in the unknown, infinite possibilities. And in this case, I can recommend Joe Dispenza's meditation, The Generous Present Moment. Now this leads us to step number 3. Remember that every time you see the image of your abundant dream life, when your eyes are closed, you dance with the unknown, you give it instructions, a blueprint. This tango with the unknown creates your future. And as Joe Dispenza always says, the best way to predict your future is to create it. Now, principle 5 takes one important aspect that I just shared with you to the next level. Do you remember how I encouraged you to add a little bit more adventure to your life? Yay, adventure! And I know it can be scary to do something that is not part of your daily routine. I mean, I'm German, and the first time Joe Dispenza encouraged me to break out of my familiar routine, I was like, okay, today I will boil my Frühstücksei 5 seconds longer, but I first need to sign an insurance for that. And by the way, a Frühstücksei is an egg you eat for breakfast, but does that matter? No, it doesn't, but principle number 5 does. Look at the timeline of your day and change your routine, because if you keep doing the same things, your tomorrow will be the same as your yesterday. Now imagine if you not only broke out of your predictable routine, but you also asked yourself the following question. What would I, as my abundant self, do differently today? Now you can feel ready to change your routine to your abundant routine. In fact, you will be so pumped up that you want to scream, Leroy Jenkins. Now, what if you don't know this meme? Then I will forgive you, but the universe will not be that forgiving, at least not when it comes to your bank account. Because if you stay trapped in the routine of somebody who's broke, then your bank account statement won't change, at least not in the way that you want it to change. Now, what is the routine of a successful, rich and wealthy manifestor? Well, it depends, and I know that's not what you want to hear, but before you decide to tear and feather me for saying this, I want you to understand why I had to say this. Whenever you do something that you associate with abundance, wealth and success, and that makes you feel rich and wealthy, you send the equivalent signal out into the field and draw an experience back to you that is in energetic alignment. So here are some things that I started doing differently on my journey to abundance. I decided to start every day with a Joe Dispenza meditation because that's what my abundant self would do. I began doing yoga as soon as I was physically able to do it again after my surgery, because I believe that a healthy and flexible body leads to a healthy and flexible mind. I started reading books about money, the psychology of money and investing, because the more you know about a subject, the less you fear it, and an abundant person doesn't fear money. Now, what will you do differently tomorrow to align your daily routine with the abundance you want to attract? Let me know in the comments below. But only if you're able to do what I'm about to share with you now will you be able to manifest your dream life. And I know that's a pretty bold statement. Did he say bold or bald? There is one element that almost every manifestation teacher is talking about, but most people are either ignoring it, they're making excuses for it, or they give up on it. And even Neville Goddard said the following words in The Power of Awareness. The great secret is a controlled imagination and a well-sustained attention, firmly and repeatedly focused on the feeling of the wish fulfilled, until it fills the mind and crowds all other ideas out of consciousness. Now, what about Joe Dispenza? This leads us to principle number 6 that I learned from this amazing book. The more we repeat an action, a behavior, a thought or an emotion, the more neurons fire and wire together. And here's what I would add to that. Every time you repeat an action, a behavior, a thought or an emotion that is in alignment with the manifestation you want to materialize, you send a signal out into the field. And all these signals add up, and just like with compound interest, your universal bank account is growing and growing and growing. And that's when you open the door, or we could also say you break the door wide open between the physical realm and the spiritual realm. And that's when your manifestation can flow to you from the spiritual realm to the physical realm. And that's when, according to Joe Dispenza, all the signs, all the synchronicities and all the serendipities can flow to you. Neville Goddard called this process that the bridge of incidents will be built, but it's basically the same. Tomato, tomato. Another creator in the manifestation sphere who I highly respect, Miro, once said that if you can't discipline yourself, how can you expect to be able to discipline the universe? And yes, just like his good friend AJ has the discipline to play the piano all day long, you need to have the discipline to manifest every day. Because always remember, you don't use manifestation techniques for the sake of using them, or because someone told you to use them. You use them to change. And change is an ongoing process. It's not static. It's not a one-time event. I mean, don't get me wrong. You can experience incredible breakthroughs in just a moment. You can have the most mystical experiences, for example, at Joe Dispenza week-long advanced retreats. And I've already been to 3 of them. And I had my fair share of breakthroughs and mystical experiences, both at home doing his meditations and also during the week-long advanced retreats. But what happens when you are pumped up during an advanced retreat and you are meditating all day long, which you will be doing, and then as soon as you get home you say to yourself, no, come on, I'm good now. I mean, I've been on a week-long advanced retreat from Joe Dispenza. I don't need to meditate anymore. I got that down. I don't need to repeat my affirmations anymore. I don't have to tune into my thoughts anymore, check in on myself. I'm above that. Then you will slide right back into the old self. And here's how this level of discipline looks for me. First of all, I do 1, sometimes 2, and sometimes even 3, in fact, very often 2 and also quite often 3 Joe Dispenza meditations every single day. I can confidently say that in the last 5 years, since my spiritual awakening, since my symptoms started, there was not one day where I didn't meditate. Not one single day. Number 2, I find numerous reasons every day to be grateful, and this is something that I perfected. It's something that I practiced so many times, and now it's second nature. I just go through the day and I see things, I see people, and I'm just grateful, and I constantly repeat in my mind, I am grateful that, or I am grateful for. And remember, gratitude is the ultimate state of receivership. Number 3, I ask myself every morning, who do I want to be today? And the answer is, of course, my most abundant self. And now, does that mean that I'm perfect and that I never miss the mark? Of course not. I'm still a human being. But because I send the signal out every day, my bank account keeps growing and growing and growing. And now you just have to let go. Come on, let it go. Let go of the one obsession, or no, please allow me to rephrase that, the 2 obsessions that create a high, soul-crushing, invisible wall between you on the one side and the materialization of your manifestation on the other side. And this invisible wall has everything to do with the following quote from Neville Goddard's Your Faith is Your Fortune. When this belief is so firmly established that you feel confident of results, your desire will embody itself. How it will be done, no man knows. And yes, I'm talking about the 2 questions that stop the materialization of your manifestation faster than the roadrunner can say meep meep. And that's question number 1, when will it show up? Question number 2, how will it show up? Oh no, please not this again. And so many of the amazing people who completed my 8-week Abundance Reality Shift coaching program have once asked themselves the same questions, and now they are so abundant that they could care less when and how it actually shows up. And by going to affirmation2manifestation.com/abundance, or by clicking on the first link in the description, you can have a look at my coaching program and you can watch their testimonials. And now back to you. Do you still ask yourself these questions? Then I want you to embrace principle number 7 that I learned by studying Becoming Supernatural from Dr. Joe Dispenza. Because in his book he tells us, you can write down anything you want, except when or how it is going to happen. And you must let go of this obsession, or let's better say these 2 obsessions, because the moment you say, when will it happen, you are communicating that you are not having it yet. You are not living in the state of the wish fulfilled. You are living in separation, because otherwise you would have the feeling that it's already in your physical reality. And then by definition, you would not ask yourself, when will it show up? Now, what about how? If you ask yourself, how will my manifestation show up? You are not trusting the universe. In fact, you are sending the signal out into the field that, universe, I do not trust that you can deliver my manifestation in the way that is best for me. Because if you would trust, then you would simply know that your manifestation will show up, and it doesn't matter how it will show up, because you know it will come to you. I mean, I reached a point in my life where I'm actually excited about the fact that I can't predict how my manifestation will show up, because that makes it fun. Now, how can you reach this point? I really wish that I could give you another step-by-step guide, but this time all I can say is that the more you immerse yourself in the imaginal act, the more you feel the elevated emotions of that future, the more real it becomes for you. And then you enter a state of naturalness that not just Joe Dispenza described, but that also Neville Goddard described in The Power of Awareness. The time it takes your assumption to become fact, your desire to be fulfilled, is directly proportionate to the naturalness of your feeling of already being what you want to be, of already having what you desire. That's when the signs, synchronicities, and opportunities show up in your life, because now you realize that your inner work that you're doing has an effect on your external reality. And you will reach this state so much faster when you're doing something that Joe Dispenza always describes and screams in the microphone at his week-long advanced retreats. Open your heart. Feel it. Notice it. It's your heart. Even Yoda in Star Wars said to Luke when he wasn't able to lift the X-Wing out of the water, "Open your heart, you must, my Padawan," or was he complaining about not having air conditioning? Anyway, the point is this: in Becoming Supernatural, Joe Dispenza shared a powerful truth with us that forever changed my life, and it leads us directly to principle number 8. Our brain thinks, but our heart knows. And now you might be thinking, just like an analytical German, yeah, but how did it help you to manifest? In 2 ways, and here's way number 1. Your heart is your center of creation, and by you tuning into your heart, by you connecting with your heart, you are activating your heart. And an activated heart means a strong connection to the field, and once this strong connection is established, then you can send the intention out with the clear image, and you can then draw the experience back to you with the elevated emotion. But that's not all, and this leads us to the second way. On our journey towards abundance, we have to make many decisions. We have to decide which ideas and direct downloads are coming from the field and which ones from the ego. We have to decide which opportunities to take and which ones not to take. Your heart will guide you to making the right decision. And yes, I can confidently say, when I think back to all the amazing things I manifested, these are the direct results of me listening to my heart. And I can also confidently say that whenever I had a setback, that usually happened when I ignored the message from my heart, and I then listened to my logical, analytical German mind, and I tried to analyze everything and reason it. And by doing this, I was of course separated from my inner guidance that my heart provided. Now there is one more principle that I have to share with you, and this principle will not only make you supernatural at manifesting money, but it also has the power to make the world a better place. And when I was a teenager, I was obsessed with the movie The Butterfly Effect. Even though right now I would no longer choose it as a vibration-raising movie, but the idea that one small action or one small moment in time can have a huge effect on your life and the life of others was fascinating to me. And that's why I invite the universe to introduce this to you. The super duper awesome butterfly effect. Usually we human beings go through 3 stages. In the first stage, we have nothing and we want something, then it's all about us. In the second stage, we get something, we get a little bit more abundant, and then the idea of giving gets at least a little bit more comfortable. And then at stage number 3, that's when we get abundant, and then we can give. And now I invite you to fast track this process. And this leads us to the last principle, because in Becoming Supernatural, Joe Dispenza says that when we prove to ourselves how powerful we are, we step into the potential of helping others. The universe is your mirror. The more comfortable you are with being generous, the more generous the universe can be to you. And the more comfortable you are with the flow of money, the more comfortable the universe can be to let money flow to you. And that's when you become a generous, abundant creator who makes the world a better place. And if you're now ready to work with me on creating your abundant dream life, then I invite you to go to affirmationtomanifestation.com/abundance or to click on the first link in the description to find out more about my 8-week one-on-one coaching program, the Abundance Reality Shift Coaching Program. And if you also want to have a look at my audio program, you can go to affirmationtomanifestation.com/mastery or click on the second link in the description. And I recently included a brand new bonus that gives you access to my ultimate guided meditation and guided hypnosis vault, where you have access to more than 60 guided meditations and guided hypnosis files. And now you know exactly how Joe Dispenza made me supernatural at manifesting money. And if you're ready to find out exactly how I was able to manifest $500,000 with Joe Dispenza's meditations, then you can watch this video next.